Hello everyone, welcome to Nirja Education. You are watching part 2 of a class 8 chapter, The Modern Period. Today we are going to discuss on the topic Interpretations in History. Interpretation differs in a history as an individual and a group interpret event differently. For an example, the British wanted to downplay the popular nature of the revolt of 1857. The British wanted to downplay means they're giving a less important, they want to give the less important to the popular nature of the revolt of 1857. So they term it as a sepoy mutiny. Sepoy mutiny means Indian soldier that under the control of British, and mutiny means open rebellion against the proper authorities. So they term it as a sepoy mutiny to the revolt of 1857, thereby implying that only some sepoy of the English East India Company revolted on the issue of a grease cartridge. Cartridge means firearm. Grease cartridge means the Indian sepoy were given a cartridge which were rumored to be greased with a cow or a pig fat. मतलब ऐसा rumor था वहाँ पे कि जो Indian sepoys थे, Indian soldiers थे, उनको कैसा cartridge दिया गया था? Greased with cow or a pig fat. About this we will learn in a detail in next chapter. The masses means the number of people come together. The masses, they say, were left untouched by this sequence of events. Indian historians, however, treat it differently. Even the contemporary record also support them. They tell us that the common people plays a vital part in the event, and the real reason for this was the exploitative nature of a British rule. So there are generally different opinion and interpretation in history. So we should not rely only one source, but we should also look at the other sources. Now we will talk about the sources. First one is literary sources. The literary sources for the periods are many and varied. There are original documents like government reports, administrative reports, official reports of the British, surveys and so on. Means we have right now records of this government and administrative and official records of British and the surveys which are done during that time and so on. All these records have been carefully preserved in archives and museum. Right now also we have all this record, but it is preserved in archives and museum. The second one is official records. Now the Mughal introduced the culture of recording everything. This was further and perfected by the British. मुगल ने इंट्रोड्यूस किया सभी चीज़ों के जो भी इवेंट्स होते हैं, जो भी बैटल्स होते हैं, उन सब का रिकॉर्ड रखना, एंड दिस वाज फर्दर एंड परफेक्टेड बाय द ब्रिटिश. मतलब ब्रिटिशरों ने भी बाद में उसको स्टार्ट किया और उससे भी ज़्यादा बेटर वे में उन्होंने ब्रिटिशरों ने स्टार्ट किया टू प्रिजर्व द एवरी रिकॉर्ड्स. एवरी एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव डिसीजन वाज recorded and carefully preserved. Like every executive, legislative and the judicial body had a record room. मतलब ये जो सारे ऑर्गन्स हैं, गवर्नमेंट्स ऑर्गन्स हैं, उन सब के जो रिकॉर्ड्स होते हैं उनको सबके पास अलग से सेपरेट से एक रिकॉर्ड रूम्स है जहाँ पे सारे एग्जीक्यूटिव, लेजिस्लेटिव और जुडिशियल्स के रिकॉर्ड्स रखे जाते हैं. मैनी ऑफ द ऑफिशियल रिकॉर्ड्स ऑफ दिस पीरियड आर नाउ प्रिजर्व्ड इन नेशनल आर्chives ऑफ इंडिया. मतलब बहुत सारे ऐसे रिकॉर्ड्स हैं जो अभी कहाँ पर प्रिजर्व किए हैं? नेशनल आर्chives ऑफ इंडिया. यहाँ पे सारे रिकॉर्ड्स को प्रिजर्व करके रखा हुआ है. Now next is survey reports. The British also began the practice of conducting surveys. Surveys like population surveys, revenue survey, land survey and many other types of surveys were conducted. Mapping was an important part of these surveys. Means population surveys, revenue surveys and land surveys were conducted, and in that mapping was an important part of the survey. The British made a large number of topographic maps. Census operation also began, and all these reports are available to us. Now next is indigenous records. Indigenous records includes diaries, accounts of pilgrims and travelers, newspapers, books, novels and leaflets, reflect the feelings of Indians under the British rule. इंडिजीनियस रिकॉर्ड्स का मीनिंग है जैसे कि डायरीज है, अकाउंट्स ऑफ पिलग्रिम्स, और जो ट्रैवलर्स है बाहर से आए हैं या पिलग्रिम्स है वो, फिर न्यूज़पेपर है, बुक्स है, नॉवेल्स है, ये सारी जो चीज़ें हैं वो आती है अंडर द इंडिजीनियस रिकॉर्ड्स। और इससे हमें इन डायरीज और न्यूज़पेपर से हमें पता चलता है कि इंडियंस पीपल की क्या फीलिंग थी व्हेन दे वर अंडर द कंट्रोल ऑफ अ ब्रिटिश रूल। पीपल wrote in English and in the vernaculars. Vernaculars means लोकल लैंग्वेज, वहाँ की जो लोकल लैंग्वेज होती है उसको वर्निकुलर्स कहते हैं। सो पीपल wrote in English and in vernaculars. दादाभाई नौरोजी wrote poverty and un-British rule in India. He highlighted the exploitative natures of the British rule. मतलब जो दादाभाई थे नौरोजी, उन्होंने भी लिखा है बुक्स में, ही wrote about the poverty, जो गरीबी थी हमारे इंडिया में, और जो रूल था ब्रिटिश का रूल था वो कैसा था, एक्सप्लोइटिव था। एक्सप्लोइटिव नेचर ऑफ द ब्रिटिश रूल ही रिटन इन हिज बुक। न्यूज़पेपर्स सच एज केसरी इन मराठी एंड मराठा इन इंग्लिश ऑल्सो मेड पीपल अवेयर ऑफ द रियल इंटेंशन ऑफ द ब्रिटिशर्स। मतलब ब्रिटिशर्स के क्या इंटेंशन थे, कैसे वो एक्सप्लॉइट कर रहे थे, वो सारा इस न्यूज़पेपर में लिखा गया था। कौन से न्यूज़पेपर में, केसरी, एंड इन विच लैंग्वेज, इन मराठी, and second is Maratha, that were newspaper written in English. By this newspaper people are aware of the real intentions of the Britishers. When the national movement was at a peak, the British tried to suppress the press. Suppress the press मतलब उनको किसी भी तरीके से रोकना प्रेस वालों को, but however they were unsuccessful. So this is all about the modern period class 8 chapter. We have completed our chapter with this topic. Thank you. Have a nice day.